Well, let's get more on the case. I'm joined now by criminal psychologist Dr David Holmes. Dr Holmes, good to have you on the programme. I guess, first of all, your reaction today, having listened to much of the evidence over the last few months, having seen coverage of it, your reaction to those verdicts?
I was very relieved, because it's always very touch and go when it comes to these kind of cases, because it's a situation where you have not got any really concrete evidence, one piece like a CCTV camera footage or a witness, etc. All you've got is accumulation of, basically very low-level evidence, coincidences, etc. But when you actually accumulate a large number of these, something called a Bayesian analysis, it's actually more statistically sound to have 100 little arrows pointing towards Lucy and none pointing away from her. And I think that is how justice was actually reached today.
Yes, this case was fascinating, wasn't it? Because a lot of the evidence was circumstantial. As you say, incredibly, no CCTV cameras within the unit itself, and also no one witnessed her and could say so for 100% certain that she was attacking a child. No one saw her physically doing that. And also, I'm interested to get your thoughts on the lack of apparent motive.
Well, it's very difficult in these cases, what we call Munchausen by proxy, to ascertain what the motive is, because it seems completely, transparent. It doesn't exist as far as a normal person looking at the case would ever think, because it is clearly outside the realms of normal behaviour, normal thinking. But in this particular case, you can see that there's a glimmer there of someone who has no empathy, has no real feelings for others, someone who is born with psychopathic tendencies, and who has focused on this idea of controlling and harming children as being something that gives them satisfaction or pleasure in some bizarre way. It may have taken a lifetime to arrive at that kind of conclusion that that is what she wants to do, because someone with psychopathic tendencies does not get the kind of sensitive enjoyment from life that most of us do. So they kind of seek what it is, and it often ends up being manipulating, controlling, or even harming others.
We know that she'd been a student here at the hospital before getting a full-time job, and it was some years before she started to carry out her attacks, as far as we know. What changes in someone's mind to be seemingly a hard-working, dedicated professional and then switching to being a killer?
In the cases of these Munchausen individuals, there is no real switching. The propensity is always there. It's stumbling across a situation where there are infinite possibilities. In other words, you're in a chaotic situation, you're in control of a small patient. The patient cannot speak up for themselves and say, oh, the nurse did that to me yesterday. And therefore, you're in an ideal situation to fall into the role of someone who will take control of that individual, kill that individual, and then stare at the parents morbidly, satisfying themselves on the reaction.
What did you make of the methods that she used to kill? Because she changed the method, didn't she? She didn't stick to just one way of killing these babies. What can we read into that? Was that all part of her being able to trying to divert attention?
The method she chose, basically, I think, reflect the idea that she pre-thought a lot of it. She actually did realise that if you use the same method, say if you use insulin all the time, this would begin to register with the professionals around you and the people that were watching the outcomes. So she varied it with air and milk even, and these were always carefully chosen as things that would dissipate and not be easily detected afterwards.